Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Lewis Clark back with you today talking about how to save your brain. I hope you're interested in saving your brain. A lot of people don't even know their brain needs to be saved. So, we're going to talk about how to do that. We're going to talk about how to prevent early cognitive decline and neurodegenerative diseases. Today, we're going to really get into the anatomy of your brain. So, help you understand what exactly is going on with your brain and why different problems occur. So I'm going to give you, first of all, what I promised last week is that I'm going to give you the signs that you are experiencing a brain-based problem. So for the child, we're going to start with the child first. Look at the problems that we see here. So we have SEAL, seal. The first one, the biggest one with children is social interaction. When they're starting to have that struggle there's a brain-based problem developing. This is your autism spectrum disorders. Emotional outbursts, not able to control, impulsivity. These are huge. And then, of course, the ADD and all the autism spectrum disorders and dyslexia, brain-based problems. And then learning disabilities and neuro delay. It is not okay if your child is not on pace. Something is going on, and you need to get to it and get it figured out as quick as possible. The sooner, the better. So, what about an adult? Well, an adult problems are going to be different. They're going to be brain fog, number one thing. I mean, this is a lot of our patients. They come in and I just can't think. I can't focus like I used to. I'm forgetful. I don't remember why I came in the room. That's brain fog. Anxiety, depression, insomnia, bam, through the roof, especially since COVID. It's bad even before COVID, but now it's worse. And if you don't believe me, just go check out the top 10 most prescribed drugs and look at how many of them deal with these three problems. Massive amount of drugs being dispensed to handle this. But I'm going to tell you, just like I told you last week, if you have a brain-based functional problem, drugs will not solve your symptoms long term. So if you're not getting the things that we're going to talk about, then the drugs will only work at best temporarily, and they will not solve the problem long term. So let's get into the brain. Let's look at the different areas of the brain. Let's start with the big part in the front, the frontal lobe. Our frontal lobe is, man, who makes us who we are. This is defining our personality, our decision making, our motivation, our social interaction, as well as voluntary motor movements. So there's a lot going on in the frontal lobe. If you have trouble with your frontal lobe, you begin to lose frequency of firing, meaning your frontal lobe is not firing as fast and as well, and it's not connected like it once was. That's when you get the things like depression and anxiety, but also slow movements, mental sluggishness or laziness, lack of motivation, social changes in behavior, uh, poor handwriting, beginning to lose that. I had poor handwriting all my life, but if it changes, that's the key thing. If it starts to get worse, something's probably going on in your frontal lobe, possibly or cerebellum. So what about the temporal lobe? Temporal lobe, we're moving a little further back. Now we're on the sides here. Temporal lobe has a huge amount to do with memory. And the other areas work in memory as well, but this is the main area. So also in hearing, sleep patterns, so those circadian rhythms are controlled there. Some of the problems that you start to see here include dementia. You can get ringing in the ears, which is called tinnitus. These are problems from the temporal lobe. And then there's the little brain in the back, the cerebellum. Now, we didn't cover all the lobes of the brain, but we're covering the ones that tend to have the biggest problems. And so the cerebellum, this coordinates everything. It's a relay. So signals come in from the body to the brain through the cerebellum, and they go out from the brain to the body through the cerebellum. So it coordinates muscle movements, but not just that, balance, coordination, and even has an impact on controlling systems and organs in your body. Cerebellum is critically important. If you have cerebellum degeneration, you're going to start to experience uh, neck and back problems because you can't control your posture and alignment and strength of your spine, vertigo and dizziness because your whole positional system is off. Vision can be affected. Certainly, you can get nauseous and other things that begin to happen because of that. And the big one here is you get a shake when you reach for things, especially when you get close to the end of reaching for something. If you notice that, that's a cerebellum problem. Then there's the last part of the brain we're going to talk about today, which is the brainstem. Brainstem is where your autonomic nervous system is controlled. So your autonomic nervous system means it happens automatically, and it controls organs and systems of your body. So your brain controls your heart without you don't have to think about your heart beating. You don't have to think about your lungs breathing. You don't have to think about your digestive system, your stomach digesting. These things happen automatically because of the brain stem and the autonomic nervous system contained there. Now, the autonomic nervous system has two branches here. So we have the sympathetic branch, okay, which is our fight or flight. You may remember that from school, right? That's for emergency situations. That's great, and you need it when you need it, but you don't want it turned on all the time. This is why we have our parasympathetic rest and digest mode. This is where you should be operating most of the time, unless there's some type of stressful event or some type of strenuous exercise. And key, remember, these two divisions cannot both be dominant at the same time. One is either in control or the other one is. What do we want to control? 90% of the time, of course, we want our parasympathetics in control. So sympathetics, please understand when I say a stress response, that's just not emotional stress. Emotional stress and mental stress is critical and it's key, and it can initiate the sympathetic nervous system, but so can metabolic and chemical stresses. So the way your body's functioning, the way you're taking food in and producing energy, if that's not right, you get sympathetic. Same thing if you have a chemical toxin come into your body and overload the system. So what are symptoms of high sympathetic activity? Well, all the most common things you see in our society. Well, number one, high blood pressure. So problem is in the medical realm, in the medical treatment, there's no discussion of why did I end up with high blood pressure? What can I do to prevent it? And what do I need to change? There's only just take this drug and you artificially lower the blood pressure, but nothing's been done to deal with the underlying problem. Other things you probably didn't think about that are related to your nervous system, like poor digestion, constipation, reflux, bloating, absolutely can be tied to poor uh, autonomic nervous system function and sympathetic overfiring. Chronic headaches and migraine headaches, insomnia, certainly, hormone imbalances, and sexual dysfunction, all common problems of high sympathetic activity. So today we laid the groundwork for what we're going to go into next time, which we're going to do two parts of how do we deal with this. Number one, what are the things we need to avoid? And then what are the things that we need to begin to do? So looking forward to that. That's the exciting part you've been waiting to get to. I want to thank you for joining me again today and taking time to watch this. If you haven't subscribed already to our channel, be sure you do that so you'll get that next notification. And until then, I say live life well and